Hi, this is Jennifer Wilson with Convergence Coaching, and I'm here with my friend Amy Vetter. Welcome to Leadership Lunch. This is an idea that Amy and I had because we've been spending time talking about ways to manage our practice and help others during this crisis, and we thought we'd open it up to live streaming to invite others to participate in the conversation. So feel free to chat, any questions or ideas. We'd love to interact with you guys. This week, Amy and I decided that we talk about managing ourselves and working at our highest and best, most productive, most motivated self during this crisis, how to sustain that. So, Amy, maybe you could start and tell us some of the thoughts that you've had this week.
Yeah, and I've been thinking about it and also have had a lot of conversations around just being productive, not just busy.
Yeah.
And I think, when all of this happened, we were kind of just moving fast to shift and figure that out. And then there hasn't been maybe a pause to go, am I being productive? Is what I'm doing useful? Am I managing my time well? And especially when we're leaders, it's important we lead by example too, because if we're working around the clock, then everybody thinks they need to work around the clock. And there was a time for that, obviously, to shift. But now we need to start getting into a cadence so we can re-energize.
For sure. Yeah. And, this difference between productive and busy, I think it's a common thought, but I don't know that people really get the distinction. And to me, one of the big ways that you could tell that you're being productive is by your deliverables or your output or your results. Busy is a lot of activities, but there may not be specific results being produced or even deliverables. Email, I don't know about you, but the email stream is a great place to be busy, but not necessarily productive, right? So yeah. I think just paying attention to what deliverables do we really need to produce and and prioritizing those and trying to look at the things that keep us busy but don't really produce results and figure out what we can do to push those to later or minimize them or whatever.
Well, and it's an important thing to do with your team to reprioritize, because you might have had plans prior to this that you were working toward, and then things kind of get chaotic and everyone's just not sure what should they be working on, what shouldn't they be working on, what is a priority. And I think everyone has an opinion right now too, because they care about where the business is going to go and what needs to get done. So trying to do it in a silo is, number one, lonely, but number two, can not take in all of the components of people that are feet on the ground closest to the work. So I think it's important to still business plan, and it may look completely different, but stepping back so that you know what you're not going to do, not just what you are doing every day.
Yeah. My partner, Tamara, she says that she carries around in her hand a figurative deferred stamp. She likes to say, deferred to later, because there are things that we can't get done right now. They're great ideas or they're not that important. They're not top priority, right? So, to defer those things, to say, sometimes people can't say no, and that's okay. Don't say no, just say later. Maybe later, we've got to do these things now, these things maybe later. I've been thinking about our accounting profession constituents and the second round here of SBA loans and the PPP and it's really easy to get sort of sucked into a lot of noise around that and not think productively and sort of efficiently also. And so, part of that working at highest and best is being efficient. So we know clients have tons of questions on this stuff. Hopefully by now you've created an FAQ or you're linking to an FAQ so that you're not answering all those questions in email repeatedly over and over again, the same answers. Doing webinars on the things that are most common to the clients, especially now people are all over, like, how do I make sure I get forgiveness on my PPP loan? what are the steps I need to take? Well, having every one of your people tell every single client verbally or in email is not efficient, not productive. Producing guidance, getting it out there in webinars, pre-recording it so it could be played back, getting FAQs, that sort of stuff. I think that's really critical. And so it's easy to sort of just churn on a treadmill or something and just do that email and phone calls and not think, wait a minute, what kind of deliverables should we be producing that could save us from all of that?
Yeah, for sure. And when you've got a web page or something where you can just reference people to the same answer over and over rather than retyping it. And it also brings me to just think about, where we get our energy from. And, with this new way of working, I've heard a lot of people talking about, this isn't what they're used to. It doesn't feel like normal. It saps our energy when we're doing things we might not be enjoying right now or being forced to do. And I think that's another thing that's really important when you step back and kind of review the work that you're doing right now, is understanding what can I do that I am going to enjoy, that is something that is going to re-energize me in this new world. Like we can't guarantee that life is going to go back to the way that it was, but now we've got time to evaluate and make sure that we do find the things that are our biggest strengths. So there might be someone on your team that likes to answer those questions, or even likes to pick up the phone and answer those questions, and really create that customer service, feeling versus everything being behind email. And there's others that want to get back to the work that they enjoy. So I think it's important for everyone to step back and kind of relook at the work that they're doing right now, to make sure that we are doing things that energize ourselves and make us excited.
Yeah, and that reminds me of this idea that we're all supposed to do regularly called, recentering on my purpose.
Yes.
So I could sort of just wake up and be like, oh, I have another Zoom call or, whatever, as opposed to saying, hey, I get to be with one of my coachees who I'm super committed to help develop and grow. And I'm going to spend some time teaching that person something, or I'm going to, hear from them and help them sort through their issues and concerns. And my purpose in that meeting is to really make a difference in their lives and call them to a higher level of leadership and performance. And just getting clear on my purpose, I can get away from the fact that it's another video call. I can get away from whatever drudgery I'm making it. And that's like the purpose of my next action, but getting in touch with my core purpose and our core purpose as a team and recentering on that regularly. What are we here for? What are we trying to accomplish? And how are the things we're doing in this crisis going to contribute to that core purpose? And what things should we defer or not do because they're not really part of our core purpose? And the crisis is churning them up, but they're not really what we need to be doing. I think that's important too.
Yeah. And with all of this time behind video and, meeting after meeting, we have to get back to where we take our pauses in our day to re-energize and reset. Because if we don't, it's just this rolling snowball throughout the day that is really kind of destructive to our energy and also to our productivity. So the thing about productivity is working more hours does not mean that you're turning out more work. And so, whether it's you or whether it's with your team, it's really important to be intentional and think about the things that you must get done today so that at the end of the day, you were productive, that you did the things that were important. And maybe one of those intentions in the day is where you're going to take a pause and go take a walk or, go have a chat with a friend like you would in the office. Just because you're home doesn't mean to stop those types of interactions.
Yeah, I agree. And there's a lot of strategies like that we could talk about. One of them is just the idea of what are my 3 things today? And a lot of people have a strategy at night as they complete their work at the end of the day to write down the 3 things they plan to get done tomorrow.
Yes.
You know, and then to make those non-negotiable, you know, just to come in and make them happen. Some people will do that by getting them done first thing. You know, other people will make sure they happen through the day, but I think that's a good centering strategy to make sure that you're not just churning. We are starting and have just started as a group an optional kind of midday meditation using the Calm app over Zoom, you know, and we're getting together and trying that out. And that seems to be kind of a really good, almost clearing your cache or something, you know, making your brain sort of reset and start with better focus and a renewed sort of energy. I think exercise is a critical piece of this whole puzzle too. I am infinitely more productive when I exercise and have that part of a scheduled routine. And also staying in a schedule. I've been hearing that a lot from people, that when they don't get up and exercise and shower and, you know, and sort of show up to work in their normal timing, that throws them off.
Yeah.
Big time too.
Well, and one of the things I've been hearing this week too, in some of my sessions, is about if I'm not the boss, that I don't have control over my time. And I think one thing to realize is that no one knows what you need when you don't speak up. And a lot of times, you know, leaders are just trying to get work done. They think everyone's on the same page. They might not be asking the questions, but if you are feeling stressed out, if you are feeling like you're not getting enough time away from the computer, or the Zoom meetings are rolling one after the other, and so forth, I think it's important to create that open communication with who you report to say, you know, this is how I'm feeling right now. I'm not that I don't like the work that I do or want to, you know, contribute, but in this time, how can we rework the schedule, or, you know, help me to be able to achieve what I want to achieve in my personal life as well. And if you don't speak up, no one knows.
Right. And it's easy to sort of blame the circumstances or blame the environment or feel like there's no flexibility, but you don't know that there's no flexibility until you raise the issues. And every single person, we talked about this a little bit last week, has a different set of circumstances, and they react to their circumstances differently. And I think, you know, one of the most important things to keep in mind right now is that it's normal to feel like excited and good and motivated and like everything's going to be okay, and see opportunities and positivity. And then to later that day or the next day or later in the week to think, I'm really afraid of all this illness, and I'm really upset about the huge volume we have, and I'm worried about the busy season coming. I mean, it's normal to sort of have those peaks and valleys, and to experience both positive and sort of unmotivated, you know, thoughts and feelings. And the only way to really, you know, try to sustain kind of an even level of performance and motivation is to communicate.
Yes.
And to talk about that with people that you feel like you can trust, and say, hey, right now, you know, I'm super overwhelmed. I'm trying to get my kids' grades have to be in, you know, by a week from Friday. Their final whatever assignments to affect grades for their school are due. And I feel like the next 2 weeks are going to be tough. And I feel like they're tough at work. And I don't feel like I have the bandwidth to do both. And let your supervisor help you out. I think communication is a critical part of not just bottling up the negative and making, you know, negative assumptions and letting that run inside you, because that'll just demotivate you further.
For sure. So, you know, we're getting close to the end of our conversation, but I would like to just talk about what to do for fun right now with your time. So is there anything that you are doing different right now to keep yourself energized, or with your team as well, that's a creative way to be able to deal with this?
Well, so personally, I've been doing more hiking. I've been trying to get out into the woods. In Nebraska, we have here on the eastern side of the state, we have a lot of forest land, and while they're not open to the public, they are open to members, or there are ways in. And so I've been doing a lot of outdoor hiking, which has helped sort of clear my feelings of overwhelm. And as a team, we've been doing brown bag lunches on Zoom I'm starting to be acutely aware of Zoom fatigue.
Yeah.
So we are 100% virtual and have been before COVID-19. And so we use Zoom all the time, but I'm careful right now because we're using it all day, every day with clients. And brown bag lunches to just share how is everybody doing, where we don't talk about work, or we act like we're in a lunchroom and you just bring food and get on the Zoom and just say what's going on with your family. And, so that's been something that's been good for us to just stop and check in.
Yeah, we're doing similar stuff. And I think it's important that every meeting isn't a meeting, that it's just to, enjoy one another. And it's also to come up with some fun ways. I mean, in my yoga studio, we converted to all virtual classes, which is a very different experience. And even, presenting,
Yes.
Instead of in front of an audience, it's still the energy exchange is very different than being in person.
Yes.
And so we step back at the studio to think about, like, how can we do things that are more fun or change up the week and so forth. So I got my son to DJ my yoga class on Saturday mornings. And that's been a whole different experience to shake up, the classes every single day. So I think it's where you can step back and get creative and have fun. We started even giving awards for funniest thing we saw on Zoom that week, and challenges like that, just to laugh, like it doesn't all have to be so serious all the time. Like we're all in this situation together, and, we're probably being, extremely productive because everyone, there's this fear factor. But it's really important that we figure out how to have fun together in this situation too.
Yeah, I've thoroughly enjoyed, all the work from home hashtag type posts, pictures and video that have been hilarious. Again, like Zoom bloopers and things like that are, just silly and fun. And so I've appreciated some of the humor and been furthering some of the humor in social media too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, awesome.
Yeah.
So it's been a fun chat again, really talking about how we can better manage our time and create more energy so that we are more productive, not just busy to be busy.
Yes.
And we will post this video as well so others can share in that. And we will be back next Friday at noon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Yes. Thanks, Amy.
Thank you.